Let's get a quick take on Governor John Hickenlooper's adventures in New Hampshire this week. Hickenlooper introduced himself to a voter as a candidate running for president. When asked to confirm later by a reporter, he walked back the comments. Kind of. Patty Calhoun from Westward. Kyle Clark has a segment on his program next that is the most Colorado thing I saw today. This week, that was the most Hickenlooper thing I saw because that was just quintessential John Hickenlooper. You know him best. What did you think?
Well, it was definitely quintessential Hickenlooper, and it's interesting to think how it will play if he indeed runs for president. You know, he can be, when he has a gaffe, he can be very endearing and honest when he backs off, and that's what it looked like compared to, say, oh, the gaffe of our current president this week, who was complaining that the slaying of 11 people in a synagogue had kind of slowed down the momentum for the Republicans. So having an endearing gaffe as opposed to one that sounds downright venal is refreshing.
David Kopel from the Independence Institute and DU Law School. Can this Robert Petrie tripping over an Ottoman charm work nationwide?
Perhaps, but more important is whether it can work in New Hampshire, because that's after starting in February of this upcoming year. I think you will see former Governor Hickenlooper more or less living in New Hampshire, which is kind of what you have to do if you don't come in with a lot of name recognition. It's a very long, grueling campaign of people trying to find 6 people in a coffee shop to talk to, and the New Hampshire voters really want to see you in person. And but that's how a candidate like, say, Jimmy Carter can come out of nowhere and do well sometimes.
Eric, besides handling introductions better, what else does Hickenlooper need to do as he waits to become an official candidate?
Well, 2 quick thoughts. One is he didn't need to make this comment to somebody at that stop. When a governor of Colorado gets off a plane in New Hampshire, that is the announcement. You don't need to say any more. Second, to the point of whether a sort of quirky, gaffe-prone person like John Hickenlooper can survive the presidential sweepstakes, color me a little bit dubious. In this age of 24/7, 365 media, I just don't know that in a town like Denver, when he ran for mayor, even in a state like Colorado, it becomes endearing. I think on a national level, it just becomes fodder. So color me dubious about the whole thing.
Susan Green, editor of Colorado Independent, thank you so much for joining us. What do you think? Was this classic Hickenlooper, or was it maybe more of design to maybe get some press, especially maybe on this show?
I don't think it was a design. I think it was a gaffe, not necessarily an endearing one. But here's a man who has set up a PAC, the Giddy Up PAC, who really is not allowed to be campaigning for president as he's raising money. So I definitely don't think this was intentional. Again, nor do I think it was endearing, but I will say it was refreshing, albeit unintended, as a sort of moment of candor, because I agree with Eric. The minute you get off a plane in New Hampshire, and he's been getting off lots of planes in New Hampshire, the guy's running, and his brand, and that's his word, not mine, is authenticity. And this kind of coyness about, like, I'm not really running is kind of just doesn't really work with that brand, I think.